Tuka is a cheerful and energetic high school girl. She arrives at Yori's house with a confident smile and greets him warmly. Yori is a calm and reserved boy. He stands in the doorway confused by Tuka's sudden appearance. Tuka announces she came to pick him up. She teases him, acting as if her visit should make his day better. Yori, however, feels no joy. He sees her as a bother rather than a friend. He knows she does not like him since he is her enemy. Her unexpected visit leaves him puzzled and wary. The day before, Yori sits at his desk looking uninterested. A girl asks for his modern literature notes. He gives them to her without much reaction. She thanks him quietly and leaves. Later, she complains to someone about how strange he is and mentions he ignored her earlier. Tuno, a lively and confident boy in Yori's class, appears next and teases Yori for being cold to girls. He says that is why people call him Sub-Zero Man. Yori asks if he stayed behind to say that. Tuno denies it with a grin. Tuno laughs as he talks about how cute the first-year students are. He smugly mentions spending time with his Kyuhai Manatsu earlier. Airi, uninterested in the bragging, asks how many girls he's counting this time. Tuno proudly responds 3 if it's just first years. Yori, clearly unimpressed, tells him not to show off too much. As their conversation ends, Airi's phone rings. He checks the time and gets up, saying someone's calling him. Tuno asks if he is leaving and Yori confirms before walking away. Yori heads to a small shop stall where Kori, a cheerful girl with short hair, greets him warmly. She addresses him as Yori Senpai with a bright smile. Yori is surprised to see her there, asks what she is doing. She explains that she started working as an assistant today. Yori notices the absence of the usual shop owner and sarcastically asks about the stinky old man. Kori frowns slightly and tells him not to be mean, explaining that the owner, Nana-san, isn't around today. She stands up and suggests that since Yori is already there, he should take the chance to buy something. Yori seems annoyed and asks if she seriously called him all the way there for this. She replies by saying she needs to show she can be useful. She smiles again and says it's the perfect opportunity for him to buy something. She insists that he should make a purchase, even if it is just to help out. Yori asks Kori what she recommends. In response, Kori picks up a necklace and says she likes the star tier. She asks if he knows the legend behind it. He does, adding that everyone in town is familiar with the story. 7 years ago on July 7, a meteor shower illuminated the sky over Nanakawa Park. It said the star tier was dropped then, a piece of heaven itself. Thus, the star tier became the subject of a legend. According to the story, if someone gazes at the stars from the hill at Nanakawa Park and wishes upon the star tier, they can regain their most precious lost thing. However, they must sacrifice their second most precious thing in exchange. They'll reinspect the necklace and say, just like this necklace, the legend is fake. Kori, still smiling. She playfully confirms his purchase, mentioning that there is a bonus. The bouse, a message left by Nana-san, saying that the stars will look especially beautiful tonight. That evening, Ori walks to Nanakawa Park. Known for its clear view of the stars, it's the best place in town for stargazing. However, Ori is not there to enjoy the stars. He is searching for someone. He wants to find the person who might come to the hill to make a wish upon the star tier. Ori's true intention is to stop that person from making their wish. Tori reaches the top of the hill and notices how empty it is. He mutters to himself that nobody is here tonight again. Suddenly, distant voices from the past echo in his mind. A cheerful voice calls out, "Hurry up, Tori-kun." Another voice follows, "Hold on, Ryuki." The memory pulls him back to a moment from his childhood. A younger Tori is running up the hill, trying to keep up with the girl leading the way. She enthusiastically calls back to him, saying it's just a little further. Tori, out of breath, complains that she's going too fast. She turns around with a playful smile, saying, "See," before pointing to the view at the top of the hill. Yamari stumbles forward, awestruck by the sight. She looks at the view with awe and says there are 2 oceans. He can see the sea of stars and the sea of artificial lights from Manakawa Park Hill. Returning to the present, Wayori stands alone on the hill and stares at the view. He reflects on how many adventures he shared here as a child, many of them with her. For him, this hill is filled with memories of fun times but also painful ones. He quietly wonders, what is she up to now? As he decides to leave, a voice suddenly calls out, "Fuyatsuki-kun." Startled, Yori turns and sees a blonde girl sitting on a blanket, an exact replica of the girl from earlier. His heart skips a beat as he whispers, "Ryuki." But as he looks closer, he realizes it might not be who he thought. The blonde girl notices his reaction and smiles knowingly, glad she was right on recognizing him. But as he steps closer, he realizes she's not Ryuki. He stops in front of her, still processing what he's seeing. She greets him warmly, "Been a while." He stares at her and suddenly remembers she is Ryuki's little sister. A strange feeling stirs in his gut as he connects the dots. The blonde girl smiles brighter and confirms Futahara Tauka. He realizes she is the person he came to find. Tauka teases Iori about his earlier behavior and asks if she should call him Fuyatsuki-senpai. He shrugs and says she can call him whatever she wants. He acknowledges it has been a long time since they last met. She reminisces about playing with him and Ryuki when they were children. She expresses surprise that he remembers her since they haven't seen each other since grade school. She gestures for him to sit beside her and offers to move over. He refuses politely, keeping his distance as he waves off her offer. Tauka tells Iori to sit next to her. She pats the blanket and says there is no need to be polite. Iori finally agrees and sits down. He calls her Tauka, which makes her smile. Iori wonders if she is the one who used the star tier. He stays quiet and watches Tauka. Iori and Tauka sit together under the stars. Yorta comments on how unexpectedly they ended up in the same school. He congratulates her for getting in. Even though the congratulations were a bit late, she thanks him. She looks at the scene and remarks how amazing it is. She says she never thought she would be a boy in such a beautiful place. Smiling, she compares her situation to being lead actors in a romantic story. He looks unimpressed and mutters that this doesn't feel romantic at all. Tauka speaks softly, causing Aira to wonder if she is nervous. He finds her constant chatter strange, almost like she is trying to hide her nervousness. He hesitates, wanting to ask about her sister but struggling to find the words. He eventually does so. She explains that Ryuji is now a super energetic and beautiful girl. Iori softly says that is good. He responds with a small smile, trying to remain composed. Tauka hesitates before suddenly asking why he distanced himself from her sister. Iori looks startled, caught off guard by the question. Tauka continues reminiscing about how Ryuki always called him Iori-kun and how he used to play with her sister every time. She admits that watching them together made her feel envious. She smiles and expresses hope. She wishes they can reconnect and get along again. Tauka then wonders aloud if her sister would get mad knowing she came here at this hour. Iori says, cowering her, she probably wouldn't. Tauka agrees, recalling her sister's saying about nights without the sun being a chance for mischief. Iori reflects and playfully agrees, sharing a laugh with her. Tauka then mentions her sister's reckless nature. When Iori asks why she came here, she sips her drink and smiles warmly. Tauka responds to Gori's question, saying they came here to see the stars. She marvels at how beautiful the view is, admitting she didn't expect it to be this breathtaking. He quietly observes the scene, noting the stars' brilliance but staying reserved. She then shares that her sister often visited this hill with her friends. Standing confidently, she remarks the effort to climb here is worth it. Under the starry sky, they quiet down for a moment. He then asks if she has anything she wants to wish for. Tauka smiles and teases, asking if he knows about the urban legend. Iori looks serious and mutters that this must be about the star tier. He says she's being too serious and asks if she believes in the star tier legend. He calls it just a silly fairy tale. She, facing away, says she isn't serious either. She pauses and then quietly adds that if it could grant anything, she does have a wish. He says there's no way the legend is real and mentions people claim a rock fell every year for the last 7 years. He tells Tauka not to rely on it, saying it won't grant wishes. Tauka nervously says his words won't change her mind. When Iori asks where she even got the necklace from, she reveals her sister gave it to her. Hearing this, he is taken back. If it really is that same necklace, then what she has is real. She responds hesitantly that she got it for a special reason. He adds that miracles always have a price. She quietly says she knows that much, but he looks at her and firmly tells her she doesn't. He won't badmouth her here, but does warn her not to come to the hill this late at night again because it's dangerous. Tauka stays behind, standing under the stars. She looks up at the sky and wonders, what is one supposed to do if the wish they have can only ever come true? A miracle happens. Iori wakes up to his alarm ringing. He groans. As he turns it off, he sits up and recalls the events of last night. He admits he couldn't sleep well. He heads downstairs and thinks he might have been too harsh with Tauka. He hopes she's given up on the star tier. The doorbell rings as he reaches the bottom of the stairs. He pauses, surprised by someone visiting so early. He opens the door and finds Tauka standing outside smiling brightly. She greets him warmly and suggests they walk to school together. He stares at her in disbelief, feeling frustrated by her persistence. She questions how he could be so rude to someone like her, especially to his childhood friend's younger sister. She playfully accuses him of not knowing how to treat girls like her properly. She continues calling their encounter a destined reunion and teasing him for ignoring her the previous day. He internally dismisses her claims, thinking there is no destiny, no running, and no lesson to be learned. She dismisses Yori's reaction, saying it doesn't matter and yelling that nobody cares. She dramatically accuses him of overthinking everything while calling him Yori-kun's senpai. He asks where she got her strange nickname for him and why she doesn't use a normal one. She ignores his question and continues with excitement. She suddenly announces that she has decided to go out with him, acting like it's a big declaration. She raises her hand and tells him to take care of her. He stares at her in disbelief and asks if she knows what she's talking about. Tuka calls herself a cute and devilish Kyuhai. She says they can flirt as much as they want. She winks and smiles playfully. Yori watches her with no interest. She adds that people often lose their cool around her. He scratches his head and says he does not care. He tells her to come in. She looks surprised by his tone but steps inside. She asks if she can really come inside, hesitating and stumbling with her words. He can't leave her standing at the door. He sighs and gestures for her to come in. She hesitates again, nervously muttering something before finally stepping inside. Her eyes dart around cautiously as she moves into the room, still looking flustered. As he calls her, she raises her arms in panic and asks if what she did was wrong. He looks at her and asks what she is doing. She stammers and tries to explain but hesitates. She finally says she was doing a wild bear pose. She looks embarrassed but tries to act confident. He keeps staring at her without saying anything. He asks her if she is nervous. She sits on the floor, covering her face with her hands. She stays quiet for a moment, then slowly lowers her hands. She accuses him of acting like everything is natural and calls him a playboy. She panics, saying there is nothing else she can do. He reminds her of her earlier confidence. She gets flustered and yells that she will act normal but is nervous only because she's thirsty. He turns around to bring her something, but she begins talking about what she will do alone. He understands that the reason she's trying so hard has got something to do with the star tier. He stands firm and says he is the enemy of everyone who tries to wish on the star tier. He declares that miracles do not exist as he is certain of it. As such, he knows her wish will never come true. As Yori comes back, she greets him again with the same excitement and tells him to get ready. He sighs and says, "Fine." She smiles, full of energy. He steps outside and asks if she is following him to school. She says yes, like it is obvious. He looks annoyed and asks why she is doing this. In his head, he wonders if it is about the star tier. He cannot figure out her reason. She winks and says she'll see how things go. He, walking ahead, tells her to keep some distance from him. She asks if he is being shy. He replies bluntly, leaving her startled by his sudden tone. He mutters that it feels a bit humiliating. She stares at him in disbelief, unsure how to react. He tells her it is embarrassing to be seen with someone like her. She questions what he means by that. He says being around her makes him feel awkward. She tries to shift the focus by pulling out her phone. She mentions she planned her approach based on what is popular. He looks at her skeptically and asks if she is just acting based on popular results. She panics and tries to deny it, but struggles to keep her composure. She says she was born a devil created by a higher power. He looks at her and calls her desperate. She asks if there's a problem. He asks if she knows about the rumor of the Sub-Zero Man. She mentions hearing a rumor about a cruel second-year student. She explains how he is said to hurt others with his words. The story claims he betrayed close friends and caused harm. It even accuses him of bullying that led to tragedy. She says the details sound fake and exaggerated. As they walk, he admits he might be the person in the rumor. He warns her about staying near him, saying she could get dragged into trouble. She shuffles in jokes it would be funny if he were the cold guy everyone fears. She leans closer, teasing him more, and wonders if he is worried about her safety. Her bright smile softens the moment and he hesitates. She reminds how he had worried about her yesterday as well. She calls him nice despite the harsh image others have of him. She brings up the rumor about him being at Sundeer. He brushes it off as another baseless rumor. She smiles warmly, saying she wants to see for herself. Her bright expression catches his attention. In his mind, she resembles her sister at that moment. The similarity strikes him, but he stays silent. He suddenly walks faster. She struggles to keep up and questions him. He says he already warned her. She teases him about being embarrassed. He ignores her and keeps going. She rushes and grabs his back, forcing him to stop near a store. She grabs his jacket to stop him, where they meet another boy. It's none other than Tukno. He greets them and jokes about a kidnapping. She is shocked by the comment. The boy grins and says he picked up someone cute. He looks annoyed but brushes it off. The boy laughs and says it's just a joke. Tuka asks nervously who he is. He smiles and introduces himself as Tumano Kakeru, saying he is Yora's classmate. Kakeru waves awkwardly and says he will get going. Before leaving, he tells Tuka to take care of Idori and calls her Tuka-chan. She flinches in his playful tone but quickly replies with energy that she will. During lunch, the bell rings and students head to the cafeteria. Iori sits alone at his desk and thinks about the morning. He has not seen Tauka since morning. He sighs, wonders what she might say next, and suspects she will suggest walking home together. He plans all leaving early to avoid her. Suddenly, Tauka bursts into the classroom with her usual energy. She calls out loudly to Yori-kun's senpai with a big smile. Yori, who is trying to avoid attention, freezes for a moment. He sighs and thinks about how he should react. Before he can respond, she walks up to him confidently and suggests they have lunch together. Her loud and cheerful entrance grabs the attention of everyone in the classroom. Students glance at the scene while Yori looks visibly uncomfortable. Yori sits at his desk and thinks that Tauka's suggestion was unexpected. He stays silent and tries to process the situation. Kakeru walks into the classroom with a big grin and loudly announces that a cute freshman student is inviting Yori to lunch. Kakeru greets her loudly and calls her Fu to Harachan with a playful wave. Yori watches and thinks in annoyance at this guy. He quickly interrupts and firmly says no to stop the situation. Tauka looks surprised and stays quiet as Kakeru steps back and keeps smiling. Tauka looks surprised and asks why she was refused. Kakeru leans on Yori and tells him to take it easy. He teases that Tauka is a cute girlfriend inviting Yori to lunch. Yori stares at him and thinks Kakeru is just playing around. Tauka looks flustered and glances between them. Kakeru returns to Tauka and asks if he can join them for lunch. He says he was planning to eat with Yori anyway. Tauka stammers nervously but says yes. Iori mutters that they never planned to eat together. The classroom buzzes with whispers as students start talking. Some ask if Tauka is Yori's girlfriend. Others speculate about their relationship. Yori sighs and finally says it's fine, let's eat. The three sit together for lunch. Kakeru apologizes for being the third wheel. Tuka quickly assures him it is fine. Yori eats quietly and observes how normal they are acting now compared to earlier. Kakeru leans toward Yori and says he is jealous. He points out how lucky Yori is to have a cute Kyuhai who comes to him during morning and lunch. Tuka blushes at the word cute while Yori dismisses Kakeru's comment. Tuka says Yori is always shy and never honest about his feelings. She clasps her hands together and looks dramatic. Kakeru nods and tells Yori to admit it. Yori looks frustrated and says it is not what it seems. He feels like they are in their world. She notices his lunch and asks if he always eats from the convenience store. Yori says he bought it in the morning. Tauka suggests making lunch for him and asks what food he likes. Yori says he does not want it. Tauka looks shocked and asks why. Kakeru laughs and calls Yori at Sundir. Yori says he cannot eat homemade lunches because he is allergic. Tauka looks confused and asks what that means. Kakeru keeps laughing. Yori looks tired of their teasing. Airi looks at Tauka and asks if she plans to keep coming to his classroom for lunch. She hesitates, unsure how to respond. Yori tells her not to come inside anymore. He explains that he does not want the attention of his classmates. He adds that while his reputation is bad, he has no desire to fix it. Tauka looks surprised by his words but listens quietly. Tuka recalls that Yori mentioned Sohm. People hate him. She tells him she noticed a girl glaring at him earlier with a strong hatred, almost as if he were her enemy. Kakeru identifies the girl as Yanashiro. Tuka asks if something happened between them. Airi explains briefly that she hates him without giving further details. He tells Tuka once more not to come to his classroom anymore. He says is nothing but trouble and insists she stay away. Tuka looks down for a moment then agrees. She says she understands and promises not to come back. However, she suddenly looks at him with determination and adds she has a condition in return. Tuka sets her condition, saying she won't come to Airi's classroom anymore if he agrees to go on a date with her after school. He looks surprised and questions if she is serious. She insists, framing it as a fair deal. He sighs and reluctantly agrees, saying he will do it. She smiles brightly, is satisfied with the arrangement, and declares that this is much better. She asks if she can have his line ID. She holds out her phone and waits eagerly for his answer. The Ori hesitates briefly and then agrees. Tauka quickly adds him to her list and looks happy. She thanks him. She says she will contact him after school. She tells him not to ignore her. Ori responds and says yes. Tuka leaves, looking cheerful. As she walks away, Kakeru looks at Yori and asks how things are going with Tuka. He grins and tells Airi to be honest. Yori watches her leave silently. He feels the affection she shows is strange and unnatural. He starts to think there might be a connection to the star tier. The thought stays in his mind as he questions her intentions. Tauna leans out the window, casually asking Airi why he doesn't go out with Tuka if she likes him. Airi remains quiet and looks thoughtful. He reflects internally, concluding that it might have something to do with the star tier. He recalls how Tupa showed strong feelings for him from the start, which felt sudden and overwhelming. Tano grins while eating and says he would feel happy in Yori's position. Yori looks out the window, seemingly unsure how to respond. Tano comments playfully that he would enjoy it if he was in a similar position. Yori asks how can people show emotions to strangers. Tano leans on his hand and says not everyone is like Yori. He mentions Futahara as an example and adds that Mayori and Futahara went to the same elementary school. He teases that she might even be Yori's first love. Yori looks confused and asks how Tano knows that. Tano explains he also went to the same school. He says Yori's memory is hazier than he thinks. Tano smiles while Yori looks uneasy. Yori reflects on his memories. He admits he does not remember much from elementary school, but says his memories of middle school are stronger. The silhouette of his childhood friend appears in his mind. Tano asks if he knows why Yanashiro seems to hate him so much. Yori says he does not know. Tano reminds him they used to hang out in middle school and presses him about what he might have done. Yori looks troubled but remains quiet. Tano notices Tauka's earlier expression and mentions he saw him enjoying something rare. Tauka looks puzzled, unsure of what Tano was referring to. Tauka appears caught off guard, silently questioning if he truly enjoyed the moment. Tano pauses as he's leaving and asks Tauka for dating advice. Tukit is visibly surprised, unsure how to respond to the sudden and unexpected question.